Nathan Grayson, secretary, was pregnant. On the evening of our 9th wedding anniversary, he brought her home with a calm voice. He gave me instructions as though it were nothing out of the ordinary. She is a picky eater, Nathan said. From now on, make sure every meal is different. She gets scared at night and cannot sleep alone. Pack your things and move into the guest room. I said nothing. I picked up the suitcase I had already prepared and walked quietly toward the front door. The housekeeper tried to stop me, but Nathan just let out a cold laugh and said, "Let her throw her tantrum. She will be crawling back within 3 days." Laughter erupted behind me. They thought it was a joke right in front of me. They made a bet worth $1 million. They were sure I would not last a single night, that I would come back whimpering like a little dog, begging Nathan to let me in. What they did not know was that the Maybark Nathan had arranged was already waiting outside the gate. This time I was truly leaving. Just as I reached the front door, Nathan called out my name. "Elena Hart," he said coldly. "Leave your lucky bracelet. Vanessa has been having nightmares lately. That bracelet was my parents' keepsake, the only thing I had left from them." I turned around, my eyes burning, but his face showed no emotion. "Name your price," he said. After 9 years of marriage, where I had lived lower than dust, how much was my dignity worth? I did not bother to calculate. I only remember what happened the last time I refused to lend Vanessa my ski goggles. Nathan had stripped me of my clothes and left me on the icy slope of the mountain. I took off the bracelet and gently slid it onto Vanessa's wrist. Looking at her pale face, I said quietly, "I hope the child in your belly comes into this world safely. Nathan, for once, offer me a shred of grace." "Elena Hart," he said, "as long as you behave, my child could be your child, too." The moment those words left his mouth, the bracelet on Vanessa's wrist suddenly slipped off and shattered on the floor. A piece of the jade cut her leg. Nathan rushed over without a second thought, lifting her into his arms. "Call the doctor." He barked at the housekeeper. He looked panicked, desperate. The people around us all glanced at me with smirks, as if enjoying the scene. And in that moment, I realized it was not just him who found it amusing. I found it laughable, too. Last night, when I collapsed from a heart attack, Nathan had been getting ready to take Vanessa out to watch the meteor shower. Even when I lost consciousness, foaming at the mouth, he did not pause. He simply stepped over my body. Before I passed out, I heard him tell the housekeeper, "Disinfect the entire living room. Vanessa is coming back tomorrow. I do not want her to smell anything unpleasant." I clenched the handle of my suitcase and turned to leave, but Nathan grabbed my wrist with an icy grip. "Apologize," he said sharply. "What?" I began. Before I could finish, he dragged me to my knees before Vanessa. My knees landed on the shards of jade, blood staining the white floor beneath me. Seeing the blood, Nathan grimaced and let go of my arm in disgust. "You deliberately dropped the bracelet and injured her. Should you not at least apologize since marrying Nathan?" The words, "I am sorry," had become my daily chant. If the soup I made was too bland, I am sorry if I messaged him a check if he was drinking too much. I am sorry if I accidentally saw Vanessa's text asking him to meet at a hotel. I am truly sorry. Biting down on the inside of my cheek, I stood and bowed to Vanessa. I gave 3 formal apologies, each one deeper than the last. Then I looked at Nathan and asked quietly, "Is that enough?" His eyes flicked to the blood at the corner of my lips. His chest rose and fell with silent anger. "Elena Hart," he hissed, "your precious old man is not here to protect you anymore. So, who are you pretending for?" With that pathetic face, before I could speak, the doctor arrived. Nathan shoved past me and led the physician straight to Vanessa. While his entire heart was focused on that woman, I quickly walked toward the gate. As I stepped out, I heard the sharp sound of 2 car horns. Beep, beep. A sleek silver car waited at the gate. I picked up my pace. But before the gates could open, 2 bodyguards appeared and forcibly dragged me back inside. In the study, Nathan had me tied down. Then he gave the cruelest order. He made someone inject a thick needle into my arm, one as wide as a child's wrist, through the half-open door. I overheard the doctor speaking to Nathan in a cautious tone. "Mr. William, although both your wife and Miss Cole share the rare H-negative blood type, your wife has a known history of heart disease. Forcing a blood draw under these conditions could easily trigger acute shock. I believe it would be safer to bring Miss Cole to the hospital and treat her anemia there." "There is no need to persuade me further," Nathan interrupted coldly. "Your only responsibility is to ensure Vanessa recovers. The rest is none of your concern." Hearing his footsteps approaching, I slowly closed my eyes. "Does it hurt?" Nathan asked gently, a rare note of concern in his voice. "Hold on a bit longer. It will be over soon." I turned my face away, too exhausted to respond to him. After 800 milliliters of blood had been drawn, my lips had turned a faint bluish purple. Suddenly, from the master bedroom, Vanessa began to cough at the sound. Nathan immediately stopped the doctor from removing the needle and ordered a double drawer. The doctor, now visibly sweating, warned Nathan that any more could kill me. After a brief pause, Nathan replied with chilling calm, "Vanessa is pregnant. The baby must come first." But the doctor began. I interrupted, my voice weak but firm. "Go ahead. Just finish it and then let me leave." Nathan stared at my pale face, his eyes flashing with frustration. He opened his mouth, ready to scold me. Was I really going to keep making a scene over something so small? Was I seriously considering running away from home? But then Vanessa's soft voice floated out from the bedroom. "Nathan, sweetheart, Tilda." And just like that, he was gone. 2 days later, I woke in a hospital bed, weak from shock. The first thing I saw was Nathan seated beside me, reviewing documents. Our eyes met and held for a long moment. Without a word, he stood, brought over a bowl of porridge, and made as if to feed me. I turned my head slightly and said quietly, "I will do it myself." He watched in silence as I slowly finished half the bowl. Then he asked, "Are you feeling unwell anywhere?" I did not answer his question. Instead, I said flatly, "Please hand me my phone." Perhaps my tone was too distant, because Nathan paused for a few seconds before calling the housekeeper to bring it. As I checked the screen and saw a long list of missed calls, Nathan suddenly asked, "Who was calling you?" He had never cared enough to ask questions like this before. I looked away and replied calmly, "Someone you do not know." Nathan unbuttoned the top of his shirt and looked down at me, his voice growing colder. "Elena, Hart, how long are you planning to sulk like this? You act like a little princess. Do you really think the world revolves around you?" Once when Nathan was angry, I would reflect on my own faults and try to comfort him. But now, I simply pointed to his phone vibrating on the table and said with no expression, "Vanessa is calling." At the mention of her name, Nathan broke into a smile without another word. He left the room and stepped into the hallway to take the call. No sooner had he gone than my own phone rang. I answered, and before I could say a worried voice came through the speaker. "You promised you would come find me." "Elena, Hart, have you changed your mind?" "No, I have not," I whispered. "Something unexpected happened." "Unexpected? What happened?" "No, this is not right." "I am flying back," I interrupted gently, lowering my eyes. "Just give me a few more days." When Nathan returned to the room, I had just ended the call. He noticed something that startled him, the faint curve of a smile on my lips. It had been so long since he had seen me smile that it made his chest feel strangely heavy. But he had promised Vanessa he would go back soon and sing a lullaby for her and the baby. So he said nothing, assuming it had been my cousin calling again. Since our marriage, I had stopped seeing friends. The only people who still reached out were female relatives. Grabbing his papers, Nathan turned away without meeting my eyes. "There is something I need to take care of at the office," he said coldly. "I will come back tomorrow." But he did not return the next day, nor the day after that. Instead, thanks to mutual friends, I kept receiving videos of him and Vanessa together. They went to parties, dinners, social events. He looked like a man newly in love, eager to show her off to the world. On the day I was discharged from the hospital, Nathan posted a collage of photos on social media. In the golden light of sunset, he stood on a hot air balloon, holding Vanessa's blushing face as he kissed her deeply. I commented beneath the post, Wishing you both a lifetime of happiness and a beautiful baby soon." 10 minutes later, Nathan called. I did not answer. Half an hour later, I finished the discharge paperwork on my own, and as I walked past the entrance of the maternity department, I saw Nathan standing beside Vanessa. I overheard one of the young nurses at the front desk speaking sweetly to Vanessa. "Mrs. William, your husband really odd-airs you. He is always by your side every time you come in. Even when you get an ultrasound, he insists on warming the gel with his hands first, so it won't feel cold on your skin around them." The other expectant mothers turned to look with admiration in their eyes. Almost without thinking, I gently placed a hand over my belly. I remembered that once, not so long ago, a child had been growing there. That memory pulled me back to the day of the accident, the heavy bleeding, the miscarriage. I had sobbed as I called Nathan in a video chat, hoping for comfort. Instead, what I saw was Vanessa, completely unclothed, lounging in his bed. Vanessa's voice had been playful and cruel. "Mrs. William," she said with a smirk. "Nathan lost a game to me earlier, so as punishment, I tied him to the bed. Can I help you with something?" I said nothing. I simply ended the call. Less than a minute later, Nathan called me back himself. He held a teary-eyed Vanessa in his arms and shouted at me with cold fury. "You are pathetic, Elena Hart," he barked. "You are small-minded and stupid. I honestly wonder how someone like you can do anything right. You could not even hold on to your own child." Then he added, "People like you should just be run over by a truck and be done with it." The memory faded as I tried to walk away quietly, not wanting to be noticed, but Nathan saw me. His expression turned cold as he stepped toward me. "What are you standing there for?" he asked sharply. I instinctively lowered my eyes and replied softly, "I was not following you. I really just happened to run into you here. I am sorry to disturb you." "Wait," Nathan said, his brows furrowed. Vanessa's expression darkened with a flash of jealousy, tightening her grip on his arm. She turned to me with a sugary smile. "Mrs. William," she said cheerfully, "I really appreciate the blood you donated for me. Without it, I would probably still be lightheaded right now. Nathan, could you please ask to come home with us just for a little while? Pretty please." Nathan chuckled and lightly tapped the tip of her nose. "My sweet and kind baby Mimar," he said fondly. "Whatever you say goes." Since I had to go back to collect my things anyway, I did not refuse Vanessa's so-called kindness in the spacious black car. I soon noticed, just as Vanessa had surely intended, a lace undergarment tucked between the seats, still bearing faint signs of use. "Oh, dear." Vanessa gasped with mock surprise. "How did this end up here, Nathan? I thought you said you had thrown it out already." She bit her lip, feigned embarrassment, and leaned into his chest, lightly hitting him with her fists. Nathan laughed softly and apologized, saying it was all his fault, while stealing glances at me to gauge my reaction, but I gave him nothing. I showed no anger, no jealousy. I simply stared out the window. That same heavy, stifling feeling I had back in the hospital room came creeping back into my chest. "Elena Hart," Nathan snapped. "You have been staring at your phone since we got into the car." His voice was sharp, tinged with irritation. "Who are you talking to? Your cousin or someone else I do not even know?" I had just finished booking my flight. I turned off the screen and replied calmly, "I was just reading the news." But that only seemed to irritate him more. The crease in his brow deepened, and without warning, he snatched the phone from my hands. "What is the passcode?" he demanded. "My birthday," I said. We had been married for 9 years. The 6 digits were painfully simple, yet he still could not unlock it. He tried again and again until the screen locked. The rest of the ride was silent. When the car pulled up to the house, Nathan rushed to help Vanessa, who was struggling with pregnancy nausea. To the master bedroom, he ordered the cook to make her favorite dishes. But when he came back downstairs and saw me walking quietly toward the guest room, he hesitated for a moment, then turned to the cook and said, "Make a few of my wife's usual dishes, too." Set the table for 3 tonight upstairs in the guest room. I opened my suitcase only to find all my clothes shredded. Every piece had been cut to ribbons, but thankfully the documents and passport I had hidden in the inner pocket were untouched. Just as I gathered my things, Ready to leave, Vanessa appeared at the door. She was holding a small black bottle in her hand. Her eyes swept over me with disdain as she sneered. "Well, Elena Hart, I have to admit, I did not think you could endure so much. You have been completely humiliated, made into a laughingstock among the upper circles, and still you cling to Williams like some pathetic stray who cannot take a hint." Then she gave a mocking shrug. "Of course, it makes sense. Your grandmother from the Hart side just passed away last month. Without her, you lost your biggest shield. No wonder you are hanging on to Nathan for dear life. He is the only straw left for you to grasp." Suddenly, her expression shifted into one of giddy amusement. "By the way, do you know why Nathan refused to take you to the hospital that day to see your grandmother for the last time when you were crying and begging for him to fly you there in the helicopter?" She pulled out her phone and turned the screen toward me. "It was because he had already promised to take me to the beach that evening to watch the sunset. This photo, this kiss, that is us." Right around that time, with a loud slap, I knocked the phone from her hand. I had had enough. In one swift motion, I lunged forward and wrapped my hands around her throat. The bottle slipped from Vanessa's hand and fell to the ground. Instantly, the sharp stench of gasoline filled the I in the chaos of our struggle. Vanessa, clearly flustered and desperate, lit a match. Within seconds, the fuel caught fire. Thick black smoke billowed upward, and the room was engulfed in flames. I had only recently been discharged from the hospital. The smoke quickly overwhelmed me, draining all strength from my body. I collapsed to the floor, unable to move. Through the roaring fire, I heard Nathan's voice, Elena Hart. Then came the shouts of the staff trying to hold him back. "Sir, it is too dangerous inside. Please wait for security to bring the extinguishers. Move. Elena Hart is still in there." Nathan did not hesitate. He shoved past them and ran straight into the burning house. But what he did not expect was to find Vanessa inside as well. "Nathan, please help me." Vanessa cried weakly. Before she could finish her plea, Nathan scooped her up in his arms without a second thought. He did not even glance in my direction as he turned and carried her out of the flames. Half an hour later, after seeing Vanessa safely settled and comforted, Nathan searched the entire estate. But I was gone that night at the airport. After sending off a package, I boarded a flight to the United Kingdom, coughing from the smoke, still clinging to my lungs. Just before takeoff, I received a message from Nathan. "This is not a game of hide and seek. Vanessa's prenatal appointment is tomorrow at 10 o'clock. You should come and get your lungs checked." 2. I did not reply. Instead, I removed their SM card and turned off my phone. "Nathan, from this moment on, we are done forever." The next day at the hospital, "Nathan, is our baby going to be all right?" Vanessa asked softly, her eyes full of fragile hope. Nathan immediately pulled her close, his tone gentle as he answered. "The doctor says the baby is perfectly healthy. Yesterday's incident did not cause any harm." Vanessa gave a relieved smile. "That is such a comfort. You looked so serious the whole time we were here, not saying a word. I thought something had gone terribly wrong." Her words, said without malice, caught Nathan off guard. Suddenly, a memory rose unbidden in his mind. The way I had looked him through the flames, eyes cold, expression unreadable. He frowned and opened his inbox again. Still no response from me, not even a single word. Back then, even when he ignored me, I always came running when he called. I never once turned him down. But now I had learned how to walk away. He gave a silent, bitter laugh, then gently guiding Vanessa out of the obstetrics department. He accompanied her to lunch, saw her safely home, and returned to the office. As soon as he entered his office, a male assistant rushed to report. "Sir, Mr. William has returned from abroad and has called for an immediate meeting with the full executive board. Everyone is gathering in conference room 1. Without missing a beat, Nathan turned toward the meeting room and casually instructed, "Pick out a few of the newest designer handbags and some trendy jewelry." The assistant nodded quickly. "Yes, Mr. William. I will have them sent to Miss Cole's apartment." Nathan paused mid-step, pinched the bridge of his nose, and corrected him. "Send them to the Hart family estate." As far as he was concerned, Once I had moved out of the villa. The only place I could possibly have gone was my family's old home. 1 week later, in the dead of night, after finishing a demanding project, Nathan returned home at last. But as he walked into the living room, he was met with a slender silhouette curled up like a shrimp on the couch, draped in a silk nightgown. "Elena Hart," he began wearily, "how many times have I told you? I will come home when I am done with work. You do not need to." He stopped short. It was not me. It was Vanessa, caught in his cold, unblinking stare. Vanessa gave a soft shiver. Her voice trembled with both fear and sorrow. "Nathan, Elena Hart has not come home in days. I sent her so many messages to apologize, but she never replied. Maybe I should move out." Her voice cracked, and it looked like she might cry at any moment. Nathan furrowed his brow and pulled her into his arms, offering a quick, half-hearted kiss on her forehead. "Take care of yourself. Do not overthink it." Then he said in a low voice, "Whether Elena Hart accepts it or not, from now on, this is your home, yours and the baby's." Half an hour later, Nathan stood alone on the balcony, his robe loose around him, a cigarette between his fingers. Smoke curled up into the night as he stared into the distance he had not smoked in a long time. But that night, for reasons he could not explain, the craving came back strong. As if guided by something he could not control, he scrolled through the contacts on his phone. At the very bottom of the list, he found my name. His thumb hovered over the call button for a long time, but in the end, he did not make the call. Instead, after finishing 2 cigarettes, he sent a message. It read, "Elena Hart, tomorrow is Grandfather William's 80th birthday. I strongly suggest you behave yourself at the celebration. Do not cause trouble for Vanessa or the baby." On the day of the celebration, Nathan arrived with Vanessa on his arm, the two of them drawing attention as if they were the perfect couple. Only when Grandfather William himself entered the banquet hall did Nathan finally let go of Vanessa's hand and walk over to accompany the guests of honor, helping greet important guests. The old man turned and asked pointedly, "Why is Elena Hart not with you?" Nathan pressed his lips into a firm line. For once, he defended me. "Grandfather, she has been working tirelessly on your birthday gift for days. I saw how exhausted she was, so I told her to rest a bit. She will arrive a little later." 2 hours passed in the blink of an eye. The evening had reached its peak. The grand gift presentation and birthday wishes. Still, I had not appeared. Nathan's sense of unease grew heavier by the minute. He stepped away to a quiet corner and pulled out his phone, dialing my number. "The number you have dialed is currently unavailable." He called again and again, only to hear the same automated message. Just then, a courier entered the hall, holding 3 beautifully wrapped packages. They were from me. All eyes turned to Grandfather William as he opened the first box with a gentle smile. Inside was a stunning embroidered tapestry of 100 deities bestowing blessings for longevity. It was clear to everyone that this piece had taken months of meticulous work, likely stitched by hand, moved. Grandfather William's eyes glistened with tears as he reached for the second gift. He opened the box slowly. Inside lay the family heirloom, a set of jewels that had been gifted to me by his wife when Nathan and I got married. The moment the light struck the jewelry, the room fell completely silent. In their world, for a woman to return an heirloom meant only one thing. Everyone knew it. Before the old man could speak, Nathan, his face darkening with rage, stepped toward the third package, fists clenched just as I had expected. He personally opened the final box, his hands trembling slightly. It was large, but the contents were sparse. Only 2 things lay inside, a divorce agreement and a medical report. Nathan froze. Divorce. I wanted a divorce. That could not be true. But as his eyes dropped the report and read what was written, his face turned pale. The next sound was the sharp crack of a slap. Grandfather William had stood up and struck Nathan hard across the face in front of everyone. "You monster!" the old man shouted, voice trembling with rage. "Look what you have done. If I had known this would happen, I would never have let you marry Elena Hart. You have ruined her life." As the old man wavered, nearly fainting, the family rushed to support him and lead him away. One by one, the guests quietly left the room. Nathan remained where he was, unmoving, staring at the divorce papers in his hand. No one knew how long he stood there. Eventually, his expression turned blank. Slowly, silently, he tore the divorce agreement into shreds. He ignored Vanessa's anxious cries behind him, took the car keys from the driver, and drove straight to the Hart estate. But when he arrived, the house was dark. He rolled down the window, parked by the garden gate, and lit one cigarette after another. He smoked all night. By morning, his throat was raw and sore, his voice still. Not a single light came on inside the house. 5 days after the birthday celebration, he finally learned that I had left the country. Left the country? Was I really that desperate to avoid him? It was just one mistake. A mistake every man in the world had made. Why did Elena Hart get to walk away just like that? Why did she get to decide it was over? He would not accept it. He could not. After tracking down my new address overseas, Nathan booked the next available flight. He did not go home. He did not pack a bag. He left directly from his office and went straight to the airport. Just as Nathan was about to check in at the airport, Vanessa appeared in tears, her voice trembling with emotion. "Nathan," she cried, "are you really going to leave me and the baby behind?" Nathan glanced at her growing belly, his expression unreadable. He reached out and gently patted her head, speaking in a calm and steady voice. "I have already asked my assistant, Mr. Liu, to prepare a new place for you. You can move in today." As soon as she heard this, Vanessa's tears flowed even more uncontrollably. "I would live in a garbage dump if it meant staying close to you," she sobbed. "But our baby is innocent. Nathan, if Elena Hart truly loved you, she would treat our child as her own instead. She ruined your grandfather's birthday banquet and embarrassed you in front of the William family and all those guests. A woman like that." Before Vanessa could finish her tirade, Nathan cut her off sharply. His face had turned cold. "And what right do you have to judge my wife?" He looked down at her with clear disappointment. "Vanessa, I once thought you were sensible, but clearly you have forgotten your place." A staff member handed him his boarding pass, and Nathan took it without looking away from her. His voice remained flat and resolute. "No matter how many children I have outside, Elena Hart will always be the only woman I call my wife. Also, make sure you remove all your belongings from the villa before you leave. I do not want Elena Hart coming back and seeing anything that might upset her." Vanessa stood frozen for a moment, tears streaking down her cheeks. Then she let out a bitter laugh and called out after him, "Nathan, you really are more naive than I ever imagined. You think Elena Hart will come back after what you put her through? They say no one understands a woman better than another woman." But Nathan, already striding away, paid no attention to her words. He believed he knew his wife for the past 9 years. No matter how angry Elena Hart had been with him, he had always managed to win her back. A heartfelt apology, a few thoughtful gifts, and she would forgive him. But this time felt different. This time she had printed out divorce papers. He knew that the usual gestures would not be enough. After much thought, the moment he landed, he headed straight to a tattoo studio. He pulled out a design he had received from me 5 years ago and handed it to the artist. "I am in a hurry," he said. "Do not use anesthesia." 7 hours later, Nathan walked out of the studio wearing a white shirt soaked in blood, without resting. He went on to purchase a luxury gift worth millions and 999 pure white roses. After nearly 48 hours without sleep, Nathan drove himself to a vineyard estate on the outskirts of London on the highway. He kept running through his apology in his mind, rehearsing every word and every gesture. But no matter how many times he practiced, the first thing he wanted to say to me was always the same. "Elena Hart," he told himself, "I miss you so much at last." Nathan found me miles away in a foreign land. But the moment he saw me, the flowers fell from his hands. The sun was low on the horizon, casting a golden glow across the vineyard. I was standing in the arms of another man, tall and handsome. My face was lit with a smile Nathan had never seen before. Relaxed, carefree. I was laughing playfully as we fed each other sweet, freshly picked grapes. Nathan never got the chance to say those words he had held on to for so long. Instead, stunned and speechless, he asked one thing. "Who is he?" Feeling my body stiffen slightly, the man beside me tightened his embrace. Then he spoke with a casual, steady tone. "You must be Nathan. I have seen your wedding photos with Elena Hart. I have to say, you look worse in person than in the pictures." Seeing me chuckle softly at his teasing, Nathan felt something in his chest crack. He clenched his fist so tightly that his fingernails cut into his palms. "Since you came all this way," the man continued, "I suppose I should introduce myself properly. I am Ethan." "Elena Hart's Ethan," Nathan interrupted. "Now I remember. You are the son of the Hart family's former driver, the one who was kicked out by Elena Hart's grandmother for stealing. The ungrateful brat." Ethan raised an eyebrow, clearly unfazed by the insult, but I frowned. "Protective? Nathan, you are wrong. Ethan is not the person you make him out to be. And besides, why are you even here? This is private property. You had no right to enter without permission. What you are doing is trespassing." Hearing the tone of my voice, Nathan realized I was trying to send him away. His expression darkened instantly. For a moment, he completely forgot he was here to persuade me to come home, not to start another fight. Nathan said impatiently, "Elena Hart, I came all the way here to find you myself. Please stop acting like a child. Just come home with me." I looked at him like he had lost his mind. "Home?" I asked, my voice calm but laced with disbelief. "Did you get into a car accident and damage your brain?" "Nathan, we are already divorced." Or, did you not see the divorce papers with my signature on them? The chance that the documents had gotten lost in the mail was slim, but not impossible. I was about to offer to print another copy and send him on his way when he spoke again, his voice full of arrogance and certainty. "I tore up those ridiculous papers the minute I saw them." Nathan said flatly, "Elena Hart, I know you are angry. I know it is about Vanessa, but I have already handled the situation. I promise from now on she will never show up in front of you again." He stepped forward quickly, raising his hand as if to touch my face, the one he had claimed to miss day and night. But before he could reach me, I pushed him back firmly. My voice remained quiet and steady. "Mr. William, when the Hart family was in trouble, only the Williams extended a helping hand. Marrying you was my way of repaying that debt. For 9 years, I did my best to return that kindness. And now Vanessa is carrying your child. The William family finally has an heir. I sincerely wish the three of you happiness and peace." By the time I finished, someone as shrewd as Nathan could no longer pretend he did not understand. I was determined to walk away from him for good. Panic flooded his face. "My love, why are you saying things like this?" Nathan asked, his voice cracking. "Are you telling me that all these 9 years with me, they were only to repay a favor? Do you expect me to believe such a weak excuse?" Of course, he did not believe it if I had never loved him. Why would I cling to his arm every morning before he left for work, pouting until he kissed my cheek? If I had never cared, why would I cry myself blind the night he went into surgery, refusing to leave the hospital, no matter how many people tried to comfort me? The truth was, I had loved him deeply, so deeply that anyone with eyes could see how completely I had given my heart to him. And what did he do in return? The more love I showed, the more obedient and understanding I became, the more cruelly he trampled on my dignity. He forgot that the human heart is made of flesh, not stone. Pain repeated often enough becomes numbness, and numbness turns into the kind of calm that no longer seeks to love or be loved. Nathan forced a crooked smile, one that looked more painful than crying. His eyes were bloodshot as he stared at me. "Elena Hart," he said in a low voice, "I really did not know that Vanessa's presence hurt you so much. What happened between us was just a drunken mistake. I brought her home only because I felt responsible. Once she gives birth, I will arrange for her to move abroad. Would that be enough?" I shook my head without hesitation. "Nathan, I do not care what you and Vanessa are to each other. What matters is that I have started a new life here. I will not go back with you. Please leave." Nathan began to shout, his frustration boiling over. "What new life, you?" But before he could finish, The room began to spin. He had not slept for 2 days, and he was still bleeding from the tattoo removal. His body could not take any more. The world went black as he collapsed. When Nathan opened his eyes again, it was already 11 at night. He turned his head and saw a glass of water on the nightstand left by the housekeeper. Mistaking it as a sign for me, he smiled weakly and dragged himself out of bed. Ignoring his own discomfort, he searched the house, hoping to find me. He climbed the spiral staircase slowly, every step damp with sweat. But when he finally reached the rooftop terrace, what he saw made his heart seize in pain. There I was, wrapped in Ethan's embrace, lost in a long and intimate kiss. Nathan froze, his face pale as paper. In one furious motion, he lunged forward, grabbed Ethan by the collar, and growled through clenched teeth, "What do you think you are doing to Elena Hart?" At this point, Nathan could no longer lie to himself. He could no longer pretend that Ethan was just a friendly neighbor I grew up with, who gave you permission to touch my wife. Nathan shouted, his voice sharp with fury. Ethan let out a laugh, calm but mocking. "Your wife, Nathan? Have you ever truly treated Elena Hart like she was your wife? Have you ever cherished her like she deserved you?" Nathan started, but before he could finish, Ethan, always known for his fiery temper, landed a hard punch square on the left side of Nathan's face. "Listen here, William," Ethan growled. "If Elena Hart were not so kind, I would have thrown a lowlife like you to the wolves outside this estate a long time ago. She is my fiancée now, and I do not care how shamelessly you keep showing up, pestering her like some desperate ghost. She will never look at you again." Nathan froze, his raised fist slowly falling to his side as he turned to me in disbelief. "Is that true?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Elena Hart, it has not even been a month since we separated, and you have already agreed to marry someone else." What I did not tell him was that the day I found out Vanessa was pregnant, I had already accepted Ethan's proposal over a video call from across the ocean. He had loved me since we were children. His proposal was sincere and solemn, and I had nodded quietly, knowing my answer without hesitation. Now I simply leaned lazily against Ethan's broad shoulder, offering Nathan a faint, amused hum in response. Nathan looked at me as if I had lost my mind. His voice cracked with disbelief. "Elena Hart, are you insane? You are my wife. I never agreed to a divorce. And yet, you turn around and throw yourself into another man's arms. How could you do this to me? Why not?" I tilted my head slightly, blinking slowly with feigned innocence. "Since when did your approval mean anything to me, Nathan? You have always thought far too highly of yourself. This will be the last time I say it. You mean nothing to me. Absolutely nothing. It is over between us completely." With that, I ignored the stunned, broken look on Nathan's face. I laced my fingers with Ethan's and turned away, resuming our conversation under the moonlight as if nothing had happened. No one knew when Nathan left the state. No one asked, no one cared. But instead of returning to his home country, he bought an apartment in a high-rise overlooking the vineyards nearby. From there, he could see the estate from afar. Every day, his schedule was the same: video conferences with his management team back home, and then a visit to the estate gate. Each time he came, he brought fresh flowers, never the same bouquet twice. Sometimes it was something I had once mentioned in passing, something I had hoped for years ago but never received. But I never acknowledged him. I did not change a single thing in my routine for him. 9 years in a marriage built on compromise and disappointment had taught me a valuable lesson. A woman should never bend her life to fit a man's shadow. I worked when I needed to. I went out when I wanted to. The world was vast, and my only responsibility was to be happy. As for Nathan, I suspected his persistence had more to do with his father, Mr. William, had always been fond of me. He likely pressured Nathan to stay and beg for my forgiveness. So I picked up the phone and called Mr. William myself. I told him I had a fiancée now and a new life ahead of me. I asked him not to make Nathan waste his time and energy chasing after something that no longer existed. But even after that call, Nathan remained for an entire month. He stood outside the estate day after day just to catch a glimpse of me from behind his car window. It was Ethan who finally lost his patience. One night after we returned from a party, We saw Nathan from a distance. He stood under the street lamp holding yet another bouquet of white roses. The moment I stepped out of the car, the night sky erupted with a shower of colorful fireworks. Ethan knew those fireworks well. He had watched that old proposal video of Nathan's more times than he cared to admit. Back then, I had been young and dazzled, swept away by the lights and promises, and I had said yes with a heart full of joy. Seeing my attention momentarily drawn by the display, Ethan's insecurities boiled over. He stormed toward Nathan, furious, and launched into a full-blown fight. "Nathan," he shouted, "you shameless bastard. All you ever do is hover around hoping my fiancé will give you one more look. You are like some sticky gum that will not go away. 30 years old and still acting like a pathetic leech." Nathan snarled back. "And what does that make you? Elena Hart and I were together for 9 years. If she had not been injured in that car accident, if she had not lost the ability to have children, I never would have let Vanessa keep the baby. Never. You do not get it." Nathan went on, face twisted with bitterness. "Elena Hart is only with you because she misunderstood me. She thinks I cheated. Thinks I do not love her anymore. That is the only reason she settled for you, the lifelong backup. But once I calm her down and explain everything, she will break off the engagement and come back to me." Ethan's face darkened with a cold laugh. He swung his fist and knocked Nathan to the ground. "When I lost my baby in the car accident, it was Ethan who dropped everything and rushed to my side. He stayed with me day and night, never once changing his clothes, caring for me until I was well enough to leave the hospital. And where was Nathan during all this? He claimed to be overwhelmed with work, but in reality, he had bought 2 tickets to Prague. While I was recovering from trauma and grief, he was strolling hand in hand with Vanessa through every street of that romantic city, dining, laughing, and playing tourist as though nothing else in the world mattered. No matter how hard I tried to stop them, the 2 men eventually ended up in a heated fight. They were locked in such an intense scuffle that they failed to notice a police car pulling up nearby. 2 foreign officers stepped out, and one of them exchanged a brief look with Nathan before quickly intervening. Without asking questions, they bundled the 3 of us into a patrol vehicle and drove us straight to a nearby hospital. Once there, despite my obvious concern for Ethan, I was inexplicably placed in Nathan's hospital room. It was then I realized everything that had happened that night had been orchestrated by Nathan. Every move, every detail. It had all been a carefully laid trap, and all for one purpose: to get me alone. I looked at him, half in disbelief, half in amusement. Was all this really necessary? I asked, my voice tinged with sarcasm. Nathan, lying there with 2 broken ribs, gave me a sheepish smile, his eyes red with emotion. Then, his voice but deliberate, he said quietly, "Elena Hart, I miss you." He paused, swallowing hard. "I miss you so much. It is driving me mad." As the doctor walked in to treat his injuries, I happened to notice a tattoo on Nathan's chest. It was of the sun, a moon, and a cluster of stars. That design was mine. I had drawn it myself when I was pregnant, a symbol of our little family. I remembered what Nathan had said back then when I proudly showed it to him. "A moon," he scoffed. "You really think you are good enough to be that?" Now back in the hospital room, Ethan had stepped out for a moment. Nathan seized the opportunity to move closer. He clutched my wrist tightly, refusing to let go. "Elena Hart," he said, his voice trembling, "I want to apologize to you properly. I am so sorry, my love. Everything that happened was my fault. I will do everything I can to make it up to you. I just need your forgiveness." Before I could respond, his phone rang. It was Vanessa. Without hesitation, Nathan answered and put her on speakerphone. "Nathan, help me, please. It is your assistant, Mr. Liu." He barged into the apartment with some men. "They brought me to a hospital. They are trying to take our baby. Nathan, please do something." Her cries were wild, desperate, almost too painful to hear. But Nathan remained still, not a single flicker of concern on his face. He just kept smiling at me. Then he said, "Coolly, Vanessa, I already know you drugged me that night. That child cannot stay. As for the posts you had paid people to spread online, those lies about my wife being infertile, I've had them all erased, every last one. His voice dropped lower and colder. And for that, you will pay. When the surgery starts, the doctor will not give you anesthesia. And after this, you will never have children again. There was a stunned silence on the line. Then Vanessa began sobbing uncontrollably, her voice broken with terror. Mr. William, please, please. I was out of my mind. I was not thinking clearly. Punish me however you want. I beg you, but please do not hurt the baby. Please, Nathan, please. No, no, eh. Her scream cut through the room like a blade. I flinched instinctively, blinking hard. Nathan noticed a change in my expression and quickly ended the call. Then, with shaking hands, he took mine and gently placed it against his pale cheek. Looking up at me with tear-filled eyes, he whispered, Elena Hart, I will have him send you the full video of the surgery later after you see it for yourself. Maybe, just maybe, you can forgive me, even if it is only a little. He looked so hopeful, so vulnerable, as though even a sliver of forgiveness would mean the world. I slowly withdrew my hand. Looking into his eyes, I said calmly, This hospital has a very good psychiatric department. You should go see someone right away. Nathan gave me a weak, almost tragic smile. All right, he said. I will do whatever you say. In his mind, Nathan thought about all the things he had done wrong over the past 9 years. The wave of his mistakes was crushing, endless, but he had finally awakened to the truth. He was ready, he believed, to spend the rest of his life making amends. He was still clinging to that hope. When 3 days later, I married Ethan in a grand and joyous ceremony. When Nathan got wind of the news, he drove like a madman, racing through traffic to reach the church. But by the time he arrived, hair disheveled and heart pounding, the white-haired pastor had just finished reciting the final vows. He heard it with his own ears. Wearing a flowing white gown, I turned to Ethan with a radiant smile and said those 3 words clearly and without hesitation. I do. No, Elena Hart, you cannot marry him. Nathan shouted. The words had barely left his mouth when he collapsed to his knees on the vibrant red carpet, as though struck by lightning. The cold and composed soul everyone once feared now looked like a stray dog, drenched and abandoned in the rain. Trembling and broken, his voice rasped as he pleaded. Please, my love, we do not have to get divorced. I never truly wanted to leave you. I am begging you, do not marry another man. I stared at him from above, my gaze filled with undisguised contempt. Calmly, I replied, Nathan, out of respect for the red envelope your father sent me as a wedding gift, I will overlook your disgraceful interruption. But this ceremony, my wedding to Ethan, is not open to you. So please return to wherever you came from. His tears began to fall. They streamed down his face unchecked, and his voice cracked with desperation. Elena Hart, I swear I have changed if you would just give me one last chance. I promise I will be different. I will be the man you deserve. Since you left, I have thought about you every single day. Even in my dreams, I see the way you used to smile at me, the kindness you once showed me. Elena Hart, he choked out, I love you. I love you more than anyone else ever could. As if he had lost all sense of time and place, Nathan shouted his love for me in front of everyone, letting it pour out like a river that had long been dammed. His whole body trembled. The veins in his forehead bulged with emotion. Suddenly, he tore open his black shirt, exposing the deep scar that wrapped around a moon-shaped tattoo on his chest. Still raw and bleeding. You are my moon, he cried. Tell me what you want, and I will give it to you. Anything. Just please do not leave me. I could not help it. I laughed, not cruelly, just quietly. With a hand to my mouth, Nathan froze, stunned by my reaction. He looked at me as though he could not comprehend what had just happened. Meeting his vacant gaze, I spoke softly like a breeze on a quiet morning. Nathan, I already have someone who truly loves me, and I love him back. That man is my husband. His name is Ethan. As for you, I added with a smile, even if every man on this earth disappeared, I would still never choose you. Then I turned away. I let Ethan slide a 9 diamond ring onto my finger. The cheers echoed through the church as I accepted him, my cheeks slightly flushed with joy. Nathan could only watch in silence, as if the blood in his veins had turned to ice. Ethan took my hand, and together we walked past Nathan. He lifted me up in his arms without hesitation, carrying me like a princess toward the waiting honeymoon car. My heart was light, my smile carefree, but behind me, Nathan, left in the dust of my departure, did something that no one could have ever imagined. He grabbed a long silver cake knife in a flash, his eyes wild and bloodshot. "Elena, Hart," he screamed, his voice cracking. "You are only doing this because you are afraid of being hurt again. But that is all right. I will show you how real my heart is." And without a pause, he plunged the knife into his chest. His body convulsed with pain as blood soaked through his shirt. "Look at me, Elena Hart," he wailed. "This is my heart. My heart that never stopped loving you. Please just turn around just once. Look at my heart. See what is left of me." His cries echoed through the church like a wounded animal's howl, roar and heartbreaking. But I never turned back. I nestled into Ethan's chest with a sweet smile and said playfully, "Darling, that lunatic is terrifying. Please just take me away." Ethan did not even glance back. He carried me straight out of the church, placed me gently in the passenger seat of the sleek sports car, and leaned in with a grin. "Let's run away together," he whispered. "Yes," I answered with a smile, resting my head against his shoulder. Then he stepped on the gas, and together we raced off toward a life I had always dreamed of, toward real happiness. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. So, feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. We'll see you in the next video.